Hello. Hello, everyone. Excuse me. These allergies is nice out, but I'm telling you, the pollen is something else. But I welcome you. I'm Dr. Deborah, a nonprofit strategist and funding coach and award winning fundraiser. And I welcome you to a nonprofit nugget with Dr. Deborah, where I'll be giving you a little something to chew on. So, just a nugget, just a nugget. As you know, this show is so that I can answer the questions that I get a lot of times from my clients, but also from you out there who are not my clients, but you may email me, you may send them through my Facebook Messenger. Sometimes people even text me because I do offer my phone number. So this is the platform I use to answer the questions that I get from visionaries, nonprofit visionaries, those who are looking to start a nonprofit to do something good in their community, maybe even in the world, but they have questions. They're saying, I got my 501c3, but now what? How do I do this thing? And so I'm hoping that I can help you to answer some of those questions here. As you know, I'm here every Wednesday at 2 p.m. And you can find me right here on Facebook, on YouTube, and on LinkedIn. So today, the question for this week, it comes up a lot in the nonprofit world, especially when working with new nonprofits or working with people who are thinking about getting a nonprofit or trying to make a decision. But one of the questions I get a lot is, can a board member be paid? Now, you know that you start your board member at the beginning of your nonprofit. So that question comes up kind of early in starting your nonprofit. So can a nonprofit board member be paid? First, let me say it openly. I am not a tax attorney. I'm not a tax expert. I'm not a CPA. I'm not a nonprofit attorney. I'm none of those things. So I'm just saying this from my point of view and from my history. I have over 37 years in the nonprofit industry in various positions, but mostly as an executive director or the funding person, many titles, associate director, development director, but mostly focusing on getting the revenue and bringing the revenue in to sustain the nonprofit and the mission. So throughout that over 37 years, I'm going to give you my opinion from that way. So I just want to get that out there. I am not an attorney. I am not a tax expert. But according to the National Council on Nonprofits should generally not compensate their board members. They generally should not compensate their board members. It is a volunteer position to serve on a board. It is a volunteer position. So generally, they put that generally in. Again, this is coming from the National Council on Nonprofits. So generally, you should not be compensated as a board member, and you as a nonprofit leader should not compensate your board members. But because one of the reasons, because it can cause some issues when it comes to tax time for the organization and for the board member. But there are certain instances that a board member can receive a financial compensation. So two of those instances are that we find a lot in the nonprofit world, that board members get compensated. One of them is through reimbursements, right? So a person may be volunteer, even volunteers can be reimbursed. So other volunteers too. So let's just say you're having an event, but it's in another city or something, and somebody needs to get there and they have the miles on their car. You can reimburse a volunteer, which stands to reason that then a volunteer board member can reimburse for any of their expenses that they have accumulated. Now, a lot of board members don't even seek to be reimbursed. They kind of considers that to be a donation or a volunteer effort to the nonprofit organization, but they are eligible to receive refunds for that. So that's one of the ways, but this is the way most people ask me about. So we're not even just talking about reimbursements. Most people know that you can get reimbursed for your mileage, traveling to and from meetings, to events and things like that. But the one that I get a lot, can you pay a board member who's on your board for being on your board? Now, this differs state to state, which is why people say, well, I can't really find a direct answer. That's because it differs from state to state. There are different rules to nonprofits and what they can write off and what they can. So that's why people don't answer it directly, because what about your state? So, but again, the National Council on Nonprofits says that a board member can be paid a reasonable compensation for the services provided by that they provide. And when you're determining the reasonable services and reasonable compensation, you should rely on the rebuttable presumptive test. And you can find that in section 4958 of the Internal Revenue Code and Treasury Regulations section. Is section 53.4958-6. So they gave that to me. They said, look in section 53.4958-6. So if you go back and listen to this, or you're listening, make sure you write that down if you're concerned about that. And they also say that the board members who are paid over $600 per year, the nonprofit must issue them an IRS Form 1099, because they're acting as a consultant, a non-tax consultant. So if you're paying somebody and you're paying them, if it's one of your board members, and you're paying them for their services, not for being on your board, okay, for their services, then you have to, if it's over $600 per year, the IRS says that you must issue them a Form 1099, and then it's up to them what they do, right? Because you don't want to get the organization in trouble, right? So you want to do this on the up and up. Now, what does all that mean? We talked about the legal part of it. Let's talk a little bit about how does that look. And I like to do life applications. You know, I even do that when I'm teaching the Bible. So life applications, let's put it in context. It means that you cannot compensate a board member just for serving on the board, right? But you can compensate them as a contractor in most states. Check out your state, check with your tax laws in your state, but you can compensate them as a contractor. Now, I would say that if you're planning on paying a board member or as a contractor, I would say whoever that person is should be able to show that that is their profession. That is their profession. Whatever you're compensating them for, whatever the nonprofit is compensating them for, that should be their profession, right? That should be their profession. And if I was you, I would make sure that they held a license in it, or a certification or something in it, because that would keep down confusion for the nonprofit itself. Because if it ever came up and if you're ever being audited for that, I would need to be able to show, no, this is legit. They are a legit contractor, right? This is what they do, whatever. That's what I would do. I have even paid my board members as speakers. If they have an ability and that's what they speak on, and they can show that that's their profession, if I bring them in, not as a board member, but as the specialist in that area that my nonprofit may be doing, then I would compensate them. And it's already in the budget. I already said that I was going to hire 4 speakers, 1 a quarter for my conferences. And I happen to have a nonprofit board member who does just that. Then you can bring them in as a speaker. I have done that. And so you just have to be careful about making sure that that's their profession. Okay, you don't want to get your nonprofit in trouble just to pay a board member. Sorry, board member. And I even operate as board members for people's organization. So we have to be very careful about when they compensate me as a fundraising expert. Even though I'm certified in that, that's my profession, we still have to be careful even with that. So I'm talking about even about myself. For example, if your Uncle Bubba, your Uncle Bubba, you know how when we start a nonprofit, sometimes we just go pick some people and we put them on the board. It's not an intentional board. We just need to get that board set in place, get our 501c3, and now we up and rolling, right? A lot of these people don't even end up, let's just be honest, they don't even end up doing work on the board. You're kind of doing it all yourself. You pick them to be in compliance, basically. So now we find ourselves, let's just say, here it is. Uncle Bubba, he on the board. He on the board with me. He on my board, right? Uncle Bubba on our board. We jamming. We doing all the work. And then it come tax time, and Uncle Bubba may do our 990 for us. Uncle Bubba real smart. Uncle Bubba, he got it going on. Uncle Bubba real intelligent. Uncle Bubba complete our 990 EZ for us. Turn it in. We made our, you got to do your 990 every year. Whether it's a 990 in, 990 EZ, full 990. But he did our 990. Thank you, Uncle Bubba. High five, Uncle Bubba. But remember, we cannot, I'm talking to me too, we cannot pay Uncle Bubba as a CPA when his profession is a licensed electrician, right? He's a licensed electrician who can do some taxes. He does the 990. We cannot put on our budget that we paid someone to do our 990 when that person you paid is Uncle Bubba. And that's not even his profession. He just happened to be intelligent and know how to do it, So that's the difference between paying a contractor to do what they're contracted and licensed and trained to do, and paying somebody who just can do something. It's like the difference between cooking, being able to cook, and just fixing something to eat, right? Two different things, cooking and fixing something to eat. So Uncle Bubba probably can do the 990, but I can't pay Uncle Bubba and pay him as a CPA for doing my nonprofit 990, right? So even though he serves on the board, and we love Uncle Bubba, we just can't pay Uncle Bubba as a CPA when Uncle Bubba's profession is licensed electrician. So I hope that example helped you. People have also asked this question. I decided to throw that in there because it's kind of, I take the questions that you send in, I put them kind of in categories so I can decide what I'm going to speak on and what question I'm going to answer each week. I put this one in here. People have also asked a lot if the executive director can also be on the board. You start a nonprofit, you're the founder, CEO, and executive director. Can you also be on the board? Yes, you can, but you cannot pay yourself for sitting on the board, right? I would say come off your board, find you a chair of the board, but you can be on the board as a non-voting member, so a non-voting advisor on your board. So you do go to board meetings. It's just that you're not a voting member. You're there as an advisor. You're there as a person who can take the notes and all those kind of things. You can to take back to the staff things that they may need to know. So yes, you can sit on your board, but you cannot be a voting member if you want to be paid. Or you can decide, well, I don't want to be paid. I just want to volunteer. I got a lucrative career. I'm fine. I got it. I don't need to pay myself as the executive director. And so you may want to remain your chair of your board or a voting member of your board. So it's up to you. But if you're getting paid as the executive director, or you expect to be paid, or you're writing yourself the executive director position in on your budget when you're applying for grants, then you cannot be a voting member of your board. You would have to just be an advisory member of your board, of your own board. So, and of course, even if you're an advisory member on your own board, you cannot attend board meetings where there may be a conflict of interest, which means if they talking about us, if you're the executive director and you go to the board meetings, if the meeting is going to be about you, about your performance, you should not be at that board meeting. Okay. Just in case you was going to try and sneak in there, be a fly on the wall and listen to what they're saying about you. If they're doing your annual review before they present it to you, you probably should not be at the board meeting. And who would want to? I wouldn't want to be there when my board talked about me. I might get my feelings hurt, right? So we don't want to get our feelings hurt. So it probably best that you're not at those meetings. So again, I caution you, if you are going to pay a board member for their services, make sure that that's their professional service. If you have an accountant that sits on your board and they're on your board as a voting board member, when it comes around tax time, if they perform your 990 for you, you can pay them as a CPA if they are an actual CPA. You can pay them because they're doing what they do professionally. If they own a I Am Taxes LLC, you can pay their tax service for doing your 990, but it has nothing to do with the fact that they sit on your board. You see what I mean? Because you want business people on your board. Hey, you want some corporate people on your board. You want some social entrepreneurs on your board. I'm going to be teaching a class that's going to be called Recruiting an Intentional Board of Directors. Recruiting an intentional board of directors. Not that one you create, with Uncle Bubba and them, Aunt Susie May Lee. Not that one that we create, jumping off the goat, getting people on your board so you can get legal. Not that board. I'm talking about an intentional board of directors, a high functioning board of directors. There's a process for doing that. So I'll be having that class. And if you're interested in that class, please inbox me. You can email me. I can get your name. In fact, inbox me your email, and I will add you to that list so that you can get the notice when I teach that class, because that's something that has us in a quandary. Sometimes we end up with board members that are not functioning really. They're kind of just sitting there. And we're the one who put them there because we didn't create an intentional board. And then now we're all confused. Oh, they're not doing nothing. They're not even volunteering. They're not doing nothing because you have them in the wrong slots. So we have them in the wrong slots, not just you, me too. So that class will be coming. If you're interested in that class, creating an intentional, high-functioning board of directors, then inbox me your email address or email me so I'll have your address and let me know you're interested in that class. And most of all, when you are questioning whether you should pay a board member, I would say, even if you do, document everything. You and the board member. I'm trying to protect them too. Document everything. You don't want problems when it comes to tax season. It can get sticky. And if you're ever in doubt, please ask a tax attorney first. Because if it's bringing up that much doubt, ask them first. Like I said, I'm not a tax attorney, but I'm just giving you what's been in my history and in my career as a nonprofit expert and funding coach. So I hope that this helps someone. If you, like I said, you can inbox me, send me an email at DrDebra at DrDebraNonprofitSolutions.com. Again, that is DrDebra at DrDebraNonprofitSolutions.com. Or like I said, just inbox me. Okay. I hope that this has been of some help to you on whether you should pay your board members, pay yourself. And this has been a nonprofit nugget with DrDebra. And I was just giving you a little something to chew on. Okay. See you next week. Thank you.